Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We're super excited for this one. We've got Beth from Creative Pod today to talk about mastering Instagram strategy and fundamentals. So we're super excited for this one. This is going to be such a helpful webinar, I think, because I don't think there's a single brand that's not on Instagram these days. And actually, according to our community benchmark report, Instagram is still like the top prioritized platform across the board for like all sorts of industries. So I think this is going to be a really helpful one. I'm seeing people getting started in the chat, so I think most of you will know what I'm going to ask, but I'm wondering where you're joining from, and if you feel like sharing, let us know what the weather is like where you are. We were just chatting about the weather where we are. We've got North Carolina. We've got, Chicago, cool, Halifax, Kansas City. Nice. Hot, hot, hot. Okay, yes. Also here, yeah, it's been a very hot and humid week over here too.
Oh gosh.
Oh, nice. From London as well. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, as you're coming in, please keep letting us know where you're joining from, what the weather is like. But we'll get right into the housekeeping slides, and then we're going to dive into the content with Beth. But if this is your first time at a webinar, maybe you found it on LinkedIn, or maybe someone has sent it to you, and you're wondering what HeyOrca is. Hello, we're HeyOrca. We are a social media management tool for teams and agencies. So we're here to help with all of your scheduling needs. And another great thing about us is that we have unlimited users, which is really helpful for teams that collaborate a lot. And if you don't already, I recommend that you follow us on Instagram and any other social media platforms. It's basically at HeyOrca on basically almost every single channel. So we'll pop that into the chat in just a second so you can give us a follow. And then we'll do a quick round of intros. So my name's Natalie. I'm the social media community strategist here at HeyOrca. And so I'm obsessed with all things social media and community. I love featuring our community on our socials. So if you're ever interested in collaborating with anything, don't be afraid to reach out. I would love to hear from you. And I'm going to pass it along to Beth.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Beth. I'm working for Creative Pod. So we're a creative marketing agency based in the UK, in the Sussex area. So I'm a marketing executive and I handle a lot of clients' marketing strategies. And yeah, that's me.
Nice. Awesome. And we'll drop Beth's LinkedIn into the chat as well. So if you'd like to connect with her on there, please feel free to do so. And lastly, another exciting part about our webinar, aside from all the great information you're going to get, is that we have 2 giveaways. We love doing giveaways on our webinar. And we have 2 ways that you can enter to potentially win a $25 Amazon gift card. So the first way is super, super easy. We've got a poll going on over on our LinkedIn page. And the question of the poll is, what Instagram post format do you use the most? Is it Reels or is it carousels, etc.? So if you go vote on that poll, you are automatically entered to potentially win an Amazon gift card. Jessie has popped the link to that poll in the chat, and the winner will be announced tomorrow. And then the other way that you can enter to win an Amazon gift card is to share something that you learned in this webinar on LinkedIn. Just be sure to tag us in it so that we definitely see your post, and we'll be picking the winner from that next Tuesday, just because it takes a little bit longer maybe to write a LinkedIn post. And if you are finding yourself being like, oh, I don't really know where to start, or, all these things, one hack that we recommend is to maybe screenshot a slide that really resonates with you or that you find extra interesting. And you can use that for your LinkedIn post. So that just makes sharing on LinkedIn a little bit easier. And yeah, so now that all of that housekeeping is out of the way, I'm going to get Beth's slides up. And we'll get started with her webinar. Please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we'll keep be keeping an eye on it and then get to them after the presentation. So without further ado, I will let you get on with your presentation.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all, and thanks for joining. So for today's webinar, we're going to be exploring kind of all things Instagram, strategy and fundamentals, and see how you should be using Instagram in and amongst your marketing campaigns. So here's a quick rundown of the agenda for today. So we'll be looking at key benefits of Instagram, what kind of content pillars you need to be looking out for, algorithm insights, metrics that matter, how you can include all of this in a growth strategy, and then also looking at some real world examples of people who are really performing well on Instagram. Cool. So as we all know, Instagram is one of the most influential platforms globally. It's got a vast reach and it's got over 2 billion active monthly users, so offers a really great opportunity for you to access new audiences who are also highly engaged. So Instagram has a number of key benefits, but I've kind of picked out the top three that I think are most beneficial. So as I say, it's got 2 billion monthly active users. It's also a visual first platform, so it's very much visually engaging with your audience, which often resonates more so than other platforms like LinkedIn, for example. It's also a really key platform for brand visibility and storytelling, so you can really showcase all aspects of your brand through Instagram and its many different content opportunities. So I work with a lot of clients, and when we get them onboarded into the agency, we take a holistic approach at looking at their content and the content they've been creating beforehand. So we use a pillar system. I've broken this down into some more general pillars. However, this might vary depending on the brand or who you're working with, or if it's for your own account, for example. But the first pillar I'd consider looking at is brand values. So make sure you're sharing real-time updates and messages that reflect your brand's ethos on Instagram. Also look to engage with your audience with interactive tools. So polls and Q&As are really useful for this. Both of these things can really help build authenticity and build long-term trust for your audience, which is really great. And then the second pillar is education. So no matter your brand or business, I'm sure there's an opportunity for you to educate your followers. This can be done through short form videos, so things like reels and stories, where you can share tips and insights from your brand and share it with your followers. You can also focus on high reach formats that answer common questions and really resonate with your audience. And educational content often increases saves and shareability, which is really great in the Instagram algorithm, especially at the moment, as we know it's constantly changing. And then the third pillar I'd say is inspiration. So this is a deeper look into brand stories and also customer success journeys. So you can really show inspiration through things like carousels or reels, through like behind the scenes content, team spotlights. And yeah, it's really useful, a really useful space to kind of humanize your brand and foster a more emotional connection with your audience. And this will encourage them to be way more engaged. And then lastly, entertainment. This might be an obvious one, but if you can entertain your followers, they are more likely to engage with you. So engaging in like light-hearted content, bloopers, reactions, launching of previews, also sharing like behind the scenes clips of you and the team, day in the life content. I know at Creative Pod we've done a few of those recently that really resonate with our own followers. It also increases watch time, so people are more likely to stick around and yeah, follow you if you're entertaining. So it's definitely something worth considering. Cool. So Instagram is changing constantly, and the state of the algorithm at the first half of this year, it's definitely changed a lot. So it's important to keep up with the insights. So how does Instagram prioritize the content that's on there at the moment? So it's often based on relevance, timelessness, relationships, so how you engage with your audience, and then also saved, sent, or commented posts. If you're looking to increase engagement, I will say a top tip is to kind of engage with your audience after the first 30 minutes of posting. It often just boosts your posts that little bit more, and engaging with your audience is always going to be a positive thing. So off the back of that, with all the changes to the Instagram algorithm, they've also had changes to their metric system. So on Instagram Insights, they've got a few new features. I'm sure you're aware, but views is now come into play. So this replaced impressions and plays previously. So this is the number of times a piece of content is displayed on a screen. It's also the baseline and a much easier way of seeing how much your content is exposed or is visible to its followers. Interactions is also a great metric. So this is the total number of user actions taken directly on a post or piece of content. And this is a direct signal of engagement quality and interest in your content. New followers is also a very key metric. As we know, if you're looking to grow your Instagram, this is how you see the growth. And this indicates how well your content and campaigns are attracting and retaining new followers. And finally, engagement rate, of course. We all know this one, but to understand how your followers are engaging with your content is a very useful metric. So I think if you're looking to refresh your Instagram strategy, looking at these 4 things will be really key. So, as I say, if you're looking to grow your Instagram strategy, I think there are 5 things that really play quite a key role in this. So the first one being collaborating. So partnering with like-minded brands and creators to really amplify your reach, and utilize the collab tag feature on Instagram to make sure that you're sharing visibility across different audiences. And collaboration is a great way to reinforce your brand and someone else's brand as well, and reach more followers. So the second point would be partnering. So whilst collaborate might be more of a short-term way of generating more reach, partnering can really build long-term relationships. So this can be done through influencers, brand ambassadors, or even brands themselves. So sharing co-branded content that aligns with both brands will really add value to both profiles. And then the third point would be being interactive. So again, increasing your engagement through things like polls, quizzes, Q&A, sliders, even lives are all going to really increase your engagement rates. And also creating 2-way conversions that deepen community connection. So it's more of an open line of communication to your followers, which is great. And then the fourth point would be paid ads. So whilst Instagram is a mainly organic space, running paid advertising along with your organic strategy will really boost and maximize the impact of your content. Paid ads, you've got the opportunity to really use targeting tools to find new reach and really connect with relevant audiences as well. And then finally, trends. We know what trends are like on Instagram, and very similar to TikTok as well. It's important to stay current with platform updates and viral content formats. So adapting to trending audio or visuals or memes is going to be beneficial. But I would say make sure it fits your brand personality. You don't want to be jumping on these trends just because they're trends, but make sure it aligns with you and your brand. Cool. So I think the best way to demonstrate how Instagram can be a really key driver in building a brand is to show you examples. These are kind of mainly almost UK based, so let me know if you haven't heard of them, but my first example would be Sheerluxe. They are a online kind of magazine agency in the UK, and they have really speared the way for social media content recently, and are the trendsetters, I would say, in the space at the moment. So they are an award-winning company, and they've just won an award for their social strategy, which is great to see. So it kind of authenticates how well they're doing. They're also very authentic, and they're very much people first content. So I think a trend that's come out of this is employee generated content. More and more brands are kind of showing the faces behind the brand and using their team as a way to communicate with their followers. And I think SheerLuxe was the initial starting point for that. They're also very video centric. So again, behind the scenes content, live streams and exclusive videos. They often signpost their podcast on Instagram as well, which is all very beneficial and supports the algorithm. They also focus a lot on community building and engagement. So they had 7 million social interactions in 2024 alone. And I can imagine that's vastly increased this year as well. But they're very much about engaging with their community, chatting in the comments, things like that. So it's definitely beneficial for a brand. And then finally, they're very data-driven, but creative. So they use the data to develop their creative strategy. So they can craft their content based on the trends that they see. And this is obviously all proving to be very beneficial, as they seem to be the trendsetters at the moment for a lot of Instagram content. Cool. And the next example is Rem Beauty. So Ariana's makeup brand. This company is very much founder-led, and Ariana is the center and feature of this content. I think that's what draws a lot of people to it. So using her presence is very useful, and also can be replicated into other brands. Again, they've got a very video first strategy. So this is their top priority format for organic reach and discovery. And has really grown their following, as they do have 2.2 million. They have a very consistent visual aesthetic, so very strong, cohesive, and this all increases brand recognition. So whilst this point may focus on the branding side of things, it also does apply to your Instagram feed. So making sure that it all looks cohesive will only increase brand recognition. They're also very trend aligned, which is great. So trends increase the relevance and the reach, as I've said. And they're also very much into drop culture and teased products, so getting their followers excited about what's to come. My third example, again, a very UK focused brand, but again, very exciting from my perspective. So this is The Circle. They are a secondhand luxury reseller, but they've kind of framed themselves with more retail space, so they'll often do pop-ups in the UK. But they, I think, have really advanced their social media recently. They very much have a purpose-driven brand identity, so their messaging is rooted in kind of sustainability and purpose. They really use what their brand is about to drive their content and engage their followers. They've also got very high quality visual content. So whilst they are a reseller, they are trying to mirror the polish of kind of higher end fashion brands that they are reselling. So I think this is what sets them apart from other companies of a similar nature. They also use Instagram shopping very strategically. So leveraging catalog ads and shoppable posts, really encouraging their followers to shop through Instagram. They also do this on live streams as well. So really encouraging their followers to kind of visit their site and purchase. Again, very data driven. So their reach increased, according to an online article, by around 70%, which is amazing. So yeah, data driven is the key here. They're also very into topical discussions. So whilst they're not they're very into topical discussions, so they'll definitely pick up things that are relevant to them. So for example, Shein came out saying that they were going to be net zero by I believe 2030. And of course, this is very relevant for the circle. So they did a nice Instagram reel detailing their thoughts on the subject, and it did really well. So I think in this nice combination of metrics, they're really increasing their brand following. And then my third example is Duolingo. I don't know if you've seen them on Instagram, but they are quite a funny account considering the size of the business. So they very much focus on their animated mascot persona. They really humanize the brand and really use this personality to drive their content, which is great to see. They are guilty of jumping on trends as well, so staying fresh and reacting quickly to pop culture moments. They've also got narrative engagement, so building storylines and replying actively. Despite their large following, they are quite good at replying to their followers and things like that. Again, you must be bored of me saying it, but video first. They're also good at repurposing content. There's nothing to say that what you produce on Reels can't be repurposed and moved over to another social platform, so do bear that in mind. They are quite strategic in their boldness as well, so stunts can go viral but still align with the brand and the culture. So whilst they might get people talking, it's all in a very beneficial way. Cool. So what do they all have in common? They all have very strong brand voices, so they're really increasing their recognition and trust. Whether they're bold, elegant, or funny, they're all very consistent, which is great to see. Are also very trend aligned, so they tend to ride the trends with purpose. This keeps their content quite fresh and shareable, encouraging their followers to share it as well and replicate it. And again, video focused, Reels are all very much a central part of their strategy. Cool. So what are some tips for your next Instagram strategy? I think first point is AI. I know it's everywhere at the moment and it can be a little bit polarizing, but I would recommend embracing it and ensuring that you're kind of coupling it with the human element. So it can really help in terms of editing, caption creation. So using a human caption and having AI help you with the content, I think is beneficial. So rather than steering clear of it, I would kind of lean into it a little bit, but just make sure you're balancing it with the human side of things as well. The second point would be to lean into authenticity, less polish and more real. So as we can see from the examples, a lot of companies are leaning into kind of team content, showing the team behind the brand, less serious topics as well. So really showing personality. And I think this will be really beneficial for your Instagram strategy. And then finally, prioritize your community interactions over vanity metrics. So when I say vanity metrics, I mean things like likes and comments in terms of the number. But instead of prioritizing those things, make sure you're engaging with your community in the comment section or through live streams and polls. And that will really boost your Instagram strategy as you move forward. Cool. And this is just a little roadmap of how you can grow and engage your followers on Instagram. So always start off with your core fundamentals of the brand, make sure you're aligned with those, and then move on to building kind of a content strategy framework along with those content pillars plus the growth tactics, and make sure you're always following up on those with those key metrics to understand where your content is going right and where it's going wrong. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And do you have any questions?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Beth. We do have a few questions that popped up in the chat. So the first one is from Laura. Laura's asking, if you don't have a lot of time to focus on stories, like how would you recommend engaging with polls and Q&As? Is there any way to do that without, like if one is limited for time and can't focus on stories?
I mean, if you're more focused on feed, you can definitely encourage people to respond through the comment section. So whilst it might not be as interactive as clicking a poll. You can encourage people to comment, and you can use emojis for things like this. So vote for this with this emoji, or vote for that with that emoji. So there's opportunities in your feed to encourage engagement as well. It's not necessarily just something you should focus on the stories, but yeah.
That's true. I love that. I love an emoji voting situation.
Yeah.
There was another story related question, but okay. And then related to stories, just while we're talking about that, Ashley says that one of their clients has a great amount of followers, but lacks views for stories. They want to do polls, etc., but they don't know how to get more story interactions. Do you have any advice for that?
I think maybe just making your presence more known on the stories. So maybe posting more frequently, chatting on stories, talking in a video. That might encourage more people to vote if you are getting the views. But yeah, I think just consistency and remaining consistent and talking to your followers, that should help you.
I think it's a really good point. I think it's easy to get discouraged because I think stories, it's harder to get the views up there, and it can feel a bit like crickets sometimes at first. But
yeah. I think consistency is key on Instagram. Not overwhelming your followers, but definitely making your presence kind of more regular. I think that will definitely help with views.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Joanna's just got a question pop up now asking how you balance planning and strategizing your social media with following trends. Like trends might be irrelevant if you're scheduling out far in advance. Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah. We find that with clients, like it's hard to jump on a trend, especially when you've scheduled X amount of content for a time period. I think if you are aware of how much content is good for you to post, so say you're posting 3 times a week, maybe just drop that down to twice a week to have it regular enough that you're still there. And then when you see the trends pop up, you can then jump on it and still not be overwhelming your followers. But yeah, no, I do appreciate it's quite hard to predict the trends, and you can't schedule that in to future content. But I think just, making it a balance in terms of being consistent, and then, jumping on it when you see them and you think they're relevant.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, especially because they move so quickly these days.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so related to your section about growth strategy, Kelly asks or says that they've always been told that boosting a post is a waste of money. And they're just asking what your thoughts are about that, because you mentioned post boosting in your growth strategy section.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it would be more like meta ads that we'd encourage you to do. We don't, again, I would agree, we don't often recommend boosting. I think organic growth is much more beneficial, but coupling your paid advertising on Meta with your Instagram strategy, I think will work better, not necessarily just boosting a post.
Nice. Okay, and now I have another question. Tamara asks how successful you think faceless content is. They're saying that as a social media manager, they don't always feel comfortable showing their face or their space for content. I wonder if maybe you have any clients or you can speak to that.
Yeah, I appreciate it's hard to put your face to to social media. In my experience, people content always does better. We have a variety of clients, but across all of them, just talking about your services or the logistics of the brand, they tend to perform worse than seeing your face. I do think it's just getting used to it, even myself. So I feature on Creative Pod's TikTok a lot, and before I worked there, it wasn't really something that I did. I do think it's just about getting used to it and power through. You'll get it eventually, and it will feel way more comfortable. But yeah, I think just powering through it and see how it goes, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like also just like some form of acceptance that you're going to feel a little silly, but
Yeah, and you know
Everyone
what?
feels
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah, and the amount of
Yeah.
TikTok trends I've done where I've thought, "Oh my god, is this
Yes.
my job?" But yeah, it's honestly you zone it out, and if you have other members of the team who are more willing to be on there as well, that will be helpful. Even just general team posts about what's going on in the business, things like anniversaries or new starters, things like that always really help. So it doesn't necessarily have to be those silly trends, but yeah, just nice things that are happening in the team will always resonate, I think.
Nice. Oh, and Madeline put in the chat that faceless stuff is cool when it's shot interesting, like in an interesting way, which I do agree
Yeah.
with. And I
Yeah.
have seen some trends where like they are done faceless and they still work because the trend is so powerful. So you
Yeah.
still totally
So
can
true.
do it. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so Sonia says that they're the owner of a beauty team, like makeup and hair for weddings, special events. So they've got themselves and a team of 8. Do they primarily focus on showing themselves or try to get the rest of the team on? How would you?
Um, I think in brands that have been really successful, so Sheerluxe and The Circle, they seem to have a main face of the brand, but they do branch out and communicate with the rest of the team. So it might just depend on what works for you. You've got, if it's just a team of 8 and yourself, having all of you on there, I think would be beneficial if everyone's happy to, of course. But sometimes having someone as the main focus to kind of anchor all the content is also beneficial, especially if it's a larger team. I think for larger corporations, that's more beneficial. But if you guys are such a small team at the moment, it would be, yeah, lovely to get all of you on there if there's an opportunity to.
Nice. Okay, and then this one I've seen pop up a bit. Holly asked what AI generated content tools you use. And then I also just wanted to add a side note. Brianna added, especially with Google now indexing in Instagram posts, AI can be helpful for helping certain keywords for SEO purposes. So I think it might be helpful to add on, yeah, like what AI generated tools you use.
Yeah. So we're kind of in a process of really branching out and looking at all the AI that's on the market at the moment. We've got a specialist in our team already who's kind of looking at all the AI that's available. As a company, we have got ChatGPT, but the paid for version. So that's really useful for generating caption ideas, proofreading what you've done. So I'd say that's probably the one that we've focused on the moment. Yeah, I think edits as well. The new Instagram app is really leaning into AI. So it's definitely worth exploring that as well, and seeing how that progresses, especially with the changes with CapCut. I know a lot of people have moved away from CapCut with the new T's and C's. So edits is a great opportunity to kind of look at new AI technologies. But yeah, to be honest, ChatGPT has been our main focus at the moment. But there's so much coming on the market, so it's definitely worth exploring. One that might suit your business a bit more, but for us at the moment, it seems to work the best.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a big ChatGPT fan myself. Okay, Anissa is asking, what tips and tricks would you give to a social media manager for a nonprofit? They're saying that they don't get much traction on Instagram. They'd love to change that. Do you have any advice?
Again, the people element, especially for a nonprofit, just understanding their what they do in the nonprofit. So we work with a lot of charities, and we often shoot a lot of video content, kind of interview style as well. So just to really understand what their role is within the business, why it's so meaningful to them. We also work with a charity in the UK called Guild Care, and we've just partnered an influencer with the charity, and that already it's quite an early, it's in early stages, but they've already had really great feedback from it in terms of reach and engagement. So potentially finding a relevant influencer could be helpful for you, especially for a nonprofit. I think there are lots of people who are willing to work quite closely with charities and nonprofits. So looking down that route might be helpful as well.
Nice. Okay, sorry, I got a little out of order. We're going to hop back to AI. Catherine is asking, she said that they saw a mention of Advantage Plus when you were chatting about the circle strategy. So they're asking if you can elaborate on the benefits of using that through ads, as opposed to like working manually there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, AI is just going to bolster you in terms of the content you're creating. So maybe you have a rough idea of what you're using in a caption, but you don't know how to develop it more. So I think any of these AI features are just going to amplify how you want to deliver the message. Again, I wouldn't wholly rely on these kinds of technologies, but they're definitely useful when combined with any caption ideas you have already. So yeah, using them kind of in conjunction with what you're already creating, I think is very beneficial.
Nice. Okay, and then a couple more general Instagram questions. Laura is asking how much one should be posting per week.
Oh, it's always a balance because it depends on how your followers react to you. I would often start 3 days a week and once a day. I wouldn't recommend every day, and I wouldn't recommend multiple times a day. However, it does depend on the account and your brand. So if you find 3 times a week isn't generating the engagement or views that you need, you could feel free to change it. It's such an ever-changing algorithm. It's very hard to keep up with, and it's not always one size fits all. So I think initially 3 days a week, one post a day is a great baseline. It allows you to have that consistency without feeling spammy. But yeah, start at that and see how it goes, and then there's always room to change if you need to. But yeah, three days a week and one time a day.
Nice. I love that advice. I think you mentioned this earlier in your presentation, that consistency is really the key with Instagram and all sorts of algorithms. So I think that's really good advice there. And so much of social media, I think, is like you test something out, you see how it works, and then you move forward because, again, things are always changing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I love this question from Olivia because I personally would love the answer. So Olivia is asking if there's any tips for voiceovers on videos and to not make them sound super scripted. Because I find that when I record, I'm like in my closet and I have to record like not 30, but like several times before it sounds natural. And even then I'm like, okay, this will do. Do you have any advice for voiceovers on videos?
Yeah, do you know what? I completely agree. It's such a hard one to nail down. I think don't go in too overly prepared. I know that might seem counterintuitive, but if you've already got like a little script in your head, that's gonna stick, and you're gonna sound a little bit scripted. So just try and be as spontaneous with it as possible. And if it takes a few takes, then no problem. But I think being underprepared might be more beneficial in terms of what voiceover you're filming for Instagram. But yeah, no, I agree. That's such a difficult one.
Yeah, I find also. And I guess you can always edit if you like are a little bit underprepared and you stumble, you can always edit it out and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just seeing we have a voiceover artist in the chat, Sassy, who's saying practice reading things out like practice reading things out loud like a conversation.
Oh, I love
People
that.
love, yeah, that's really cool. People love real voices, so just be yourself. Okay, Sassy, I'm going to channel you next time I have to do a voiceover. Love that advice. Okay, another great question that I think people might find beneficial comes from Maria. They're asking, how do you decide what types of story posts should be saved as a highlight? Do you have any advice there?
Oh, good question. So we often work with brands and kind of highlight either through things like content pillars or services, the key highlights that they would like to save. I think things that are going to be concise and work cohesively in the highlight. So maybe you have a team highlight, maybe you have a services highlight, sometimes even a review highlight is really useful. But yeah, don't go overboard in terms of adding loads of content to your highlights. Try and keep it concise and easy to flick through. But definitely having those different sections and channels for your highlights is useful, and it really helps you filter down like what's worth saving down. And if you feel that content's been reacted to really well, then maybe that's something that you save in your highlights so that people can go back to it. But yeah, that's also a tricky one because you feel the need to kind of put it all in a highlight because you think it's all needed. But yeah, I think having those sections is really helpful.
Nice. I love the advice of less is more. I find that I often am like more is more, but yeah, it can be easy to think more is more. But yes.
Sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
More is more, yeah.
No, that's great advice. Okay, I think we have time for probably one last question, but I would like to point out Jesse's comment that we are unintentionally matching. So shout out to Jesse for noticing that. I love that. But okay, yeah, I think we have time for this one last question. I think this often does also come up in some other webinars where people navigate this. So Danielle is asking, how do we navigate music on posts, on stories, or like not being able to do a trend because of copyrighted music? Do you have any like experience navigating that kind of a thing, or what would you give advice? Like what kind of advice would you give to a client about that?
Yeah, that is definitely a bugbear for business accounts. It can be difficult to ride a trend if it's a sound in particular. I'd recommend maybe trying to replicate it. So if people can see the trend that you're trying to replicate in terms of the visuals, they're still probably likely to engage because it's familiar with them. So yeah, maybe finding a similar sound, for example. But yeah, I appreciate that's quite a difficult one to work around. Also, maybe, I know it's difficult, but trying to create your own trend, like maybe just take inspiration from what you see rather than trying to copy it directly. But yeah, those two in combination should hopefully be a little bit beneficial, but I appreciate that's quite a hard one.
Mm-hmm. Also, Jesse is mentioning try to get away from the songs and go more towards like original audios. I think that's a really good piece of advice as well. Yeah, so I think we're just at about time in terms of all questions, but also I just saw a lot of love for your presentation in the chat. So yes, and okay, I'm seeing some of the same question. Just to let everyone know, the recordings will be sent out in shortly. I don't know exactly the time frame, but they will be sent out. And then if you also go to our YouTube page, we have all of our old webinars on there as well. But Jesse has just popped our LinkedIn poll into the chat. So again, you have until tomorrow to enter that to vote on the LinkedIn poll to be entered into a chance to win a $25 Amazon gift card. And again, Jesse has also popped Beth's LinkedIn into the chat as well. So you can connect with her there, say hello there as well. And yeah, that is all for today's webinar. Thank you so much for all of your great advice, Beth, all of your helpful tips, and also for answering all of those questions. I know that was a lot of great questions and you had a lot of great answers. And again, lots of love for you in the chat. So thank you so much, Beth.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you for listening to me. It's been really good.
Yay. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and hopefully see you next week at our next webinar. All right. Bye, everybody. Sorry. Not next week. The week after. No webinar next week, but the week after. Didn't mean to trick you guys. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you.